Good evening, everyone. My name is Cindy Kinzer. I'm a PTA member, board member at OMS, and proud Ozark school. And I'm happy to be here tonight to moderate our lead candidate night for our school board. And tonight we have questions from each of our PTAs, including Tiger Hall, the 4 elementary schools, and the middle school. And when they come up to ask their question, they will have a specific question that you've been given, and then you'll have 2 minutes to answer. And we'll start with an introductory question, and we'll just start with you, Ann. And it is, tell us about yourself and why you're running for school board, and are you a PTA member?
Yes, I've been a PTA member for 17 years within the Ozark School District. I'm seeking to serve on the Board of Education to support the students, families, teachers, and administrators within the Ozark School District. My goal is to contribute meaningfully to the district's success by leveraging my education, experience, and dedication to benefit our community. I am passionate about fostering an environment where students can thrive, teachers feel supported, and families are confident in the quality of education being provided. I bring a diverse and comprehensive background in education, with both professional and personal experiences that make me uniquely qualified to serve our community. Academically, I hold 12 credit hours towards a doctorate in educational administration, a master's in curriculum and instruction, and a teaching degree in secondary mathematics and secondary education. My professional career includes 8 years as a junior high and high school math teacher and 3 years as a school principal, during which I regularly reported to a school board. I've had the privilege of raising 6 children in the Ozark School District, providing me with firsthand understanding of the district's strengths and opportunities. Additionally, I have homeschooled some of my children at various times, which has given me a well-rounded perspective on both traditional and alternative education approaches. I am well-versed in 504 and IEP processes, from writing plans to participating in and managing meetings, which gives me a deep understanding of the needs of students requiring accommodations. Over the past 17 years, I've been an active supporter of Ozark School District sports and extracurricular programs, with my 6 children participating in nearly every activity the district offers. This hands-on involvement has allowed me to witness firsthand the dedication of our students, families, and educators, as well as the challenges and opportunities within our schools. With this blend of professional expertise and personal commitment, I am passionate about contributing to the success of our students and the continued growth of the Ozark School District.
Thank you. We'll go over to Sarah.
Hello, I'm Sarah Adams Orr, and I just wanted to thank the PTA for hosting this tonight. And thank you, Cindy, for you were at the last meeting I was at, and you're at this one right now, so thank you so much. I've been on the school board about 12 years. I graduated from Ozark High School in 1987. I said that, sorry. I graduated from NYU. I have my BA from NYU and have lived in this community for 56 years, all of my life, and I grew up supporting our schools. My mom was on the school board, my grandmother was. It was just our way of life. We just always supported the schools, and that's just the way I was brought up. So I'm a parent, I'm a business owner. We have Adams Video Home and Ozark and Wixa, so I've been involved in both chambers and helped the schools come together and government, city officials come together to help improve walkways and just all kinds of things over the past 10 to 15 years especially. Founding member of Impact 100 Ozark. We've given grants to Ozark classrooms and Ozark teachers, and that's just been my passion throughout my life. That's just what we do. We support our schools and help our schools and support our teachers. So thanks for having me.
Good evening, and thanks for having me. My name is Wade Wheeler. I'm a father of 3, 2 Ozark graduates and a current freshman. Husband of almost 28 years, Southwest Missouri resident since '98, and I've owned and operated a small business successfully since then. We moved to Springfield '98 and set up a house, and love it here, my wife and I. I'm running for school board because my 2 older students who are graduated now were in high school at the same time. And during their time in high school, they served under a particular teacher / coach who was very liked, very popular, very successful. And as they competed on the team that they were involved in, I helped out and volunteered with that team and was involved with the coach as well and got to know him. And inexplicably, one day, that coach lost his job and was exited from the district. And as myself and other concerned parents discovered that this happened, we all wondered why, because he was a really great guy and a really great teacher. And as a result of that, the other parents and myself started attending school board meetings and digging in and kind of trying to figure out what happened and what went on. And that process of exposing ourselves to the workings of the district and the board and the administration, I learned of other things that were going on that I didn't think were quite right. So attending school board meetings for the last 18 months, almost on a monthly basis, I've seen several other issues aside from what happened to that teacher that I just think could be better. I think Ozark is a great district. That's why I moved here. We moved from Rogersville, and I think Ozark's better than Rogersville. So we came here to build a house and set up our time. But I think there are things that can be better. No one's perfect. And me being a male and a dad, when I see something that I think needs fixed, I want to fix it. So I'm trying to run for board to help correct issues that I think need to be addressed.
Okay, thank you. And I have to make a correction on these next questions. You'll have 1 minute to answer from our PTA members. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with our questions from the PTA, and we'll start with Ozark Middle School.
Hi, my name is Amanda Barnes, and I'm with the Ozark School PTA. Our question to you is, what specific policies do you plan to implement or continue to implement to support teacher and administration retention in our district, including competitive compensation, professional development, and work-life balance?
Okay, we'll start with you, Ms. Sarah.
Okay, thanks for the question, Amanda, and fellow female director Amanda, so kindred spirits. The policies, we need to look at the successes that other schools are having. We need to look at everything from 4-day weeks to keeping 5-day weeks, and how can we keep up the teacher pay with other school districts. We need to constantly be analyzing that and asking our teachers when they leave, why are they retiring? If they're retiring early, why are they staying here? If they're staying here. We have a lot who stay. We have a lot who may go to Nixa, may go to Rogersville, may go to smaller schools. So I think the answer lies within those exit interviews and trying to keep the best teachers we possibly can. Mr. Lewis?
So when I read this question, what I hear is, how can we create an environment in Ozark where teachers want to be here? And my thoughts on that are threefold. Number one, give professionals the room and the freedom to be professional. I think we should set clear community-based boundaries on curriculum, set clear academic achievement standards, and stop prescribing your job to you. Stand back and let you do your thing. Teach our kids. I'm under the assumption that most teachers do this job because they love it and want to do it, not because of the income. And I think that there's a lot of abilities that are squashed. The second thing would be to establish disciplinary policies to free teachers from having to deal with discipline. Discipline is the administration's job. Teachers should teach. And the third thing would be to establish a policy to allow teachers access to the board, heaven forbid if they ever get sideways with the administration. I want teachers to know that the board would have their back if they needed it.
Ms. Ryan?
I would support policies that offer competitive compensation. Ozark's current starting step 1 salary is $42,000 with the BS. Nix's is $42,300, and Springfield's is $44,972. I know young adults in our district with nothing but a high school education that make $23 an hour working at Buc-ee's slicing meat, which is $47,840 a year. This is a travesty. I support developing or continuing to offer partnerships with local universities to teachers for free credit hours in order to continue their education, in order to help them move up on the pay scales, and for their professional development. I also believe in inclusive decision-making. I would support involving teachers in decision-making processes related to curriculum, policies, and school operations. I have many creative ideas in order to help teachers to be able to develop a work-life balance, such as utilizing more volunteers within the classroom besides our A+ tutors. Thank you.
All right, good job. We'll now go to Ozark West Elementary.
Good evening. My name is Danielle Mann, and I am here, VP of Ozark West. And our question is, considering the increasing scrutiny and challenges faced by school boards, how do you plan to foster a positive and productive climate within the board? And what steps will you take to ensure that the focus remains on the best interests of students and the school community despite external pressures?
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Taylor.
Firstly, I'd like to say that I think increased scrutiny, as long as it's locally based, is a good thing. It means the community is involved. I want parents to be involved in the board's business because most of the time, no one is going to advocate for a child better than their parents.
That's right.
To foster a productive climate on the board, I think we need to define clear goals for the board to work towards. I grant that there will be differing opinions on how to achieve those goals, but I think if we have a common goal to work towards and a common directive, that will keep things productive within the board. Keeping the focus on the students and community, I think we should cut ties with all state-level organizations that wish to push policy onto Ozark from afar. Organizations based in St. Louis have no idea what the wants and needs of the community of Ozark are. So why would we let them dictate our school policies to us? We need to be making these policies ourselves. When we let organizations dictate from afar, we lose control of our community school, and I'm against that.
We'll go with Ms. Rainey.
My focus for the past 18 years has been to foster a positive and productive climate within the school district by building relationships and volunteering my time and talents to help whenever and wherever I was needed. I'm adept at de-escalating disagreements and able to find common ground and build relationships easily. I believe this will lend itself to a positive and productive climate in which policies can be enacted that are in the best interest of the students and the school community. I am happy to listen to community members' input, and I have a unique insight because of my knowledge about how schools work. I can help to alleviate concerns or refocus them where they need to be directed in order to have the best possible outcomes for all.
I love it that at our school board meetings, we always recognize students of the month and their parents come and their families come. Every single month, the board gets to see that it's not just a business meeting, it's where we get to see the kids. It's a very positive environment for that. And fostering productive, the way I operate is I bring parents together with administrators. Dr. Carson has been gracious enough to meet with many parents just to get that communication going. Helping parents know the first step is to talk to the teacher and so on. With social media in this day and age, it's a little tricky. We do want, if I see somebody maybe posting something who I know I may want to give information, we just have a meeting over at the district office about that and how can we as parents come together and foster that productive environment. So I took the initiative to set up a committee meeting just today to see how we can help with that online resources for parents and students and keeping that positive environment going. That's why people move to Ozark for our great schools. All right, thank you.
We'll now go to the question from Tiger Paul.
Good evening, my name is Sharon Foster and I am the PTA at Tiger Paw. And my question is almost simple, but also with my school in mind. So I have for you guys, what level of importance do you put on early childhood education and how will that belief be reflected in your economic work?
Thank you, Secretary.
I think they'll ever.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer.
All right, I place an extremely high level of importance on early childhood education. My children participated not only in Parents as Teachers, but my 19-year-old attended Tiger Paw in order to receive speech services when he was in preschool. All of my 6 children attended preschool, and I feel it is essential for most students' academic and social success. I believe our Tiger Paw program is what sets up our school district to be the success that it is today. As a teacher, I know that the children who come into kindergarten having met age-appropriate milestones have a greater chance of success with their academic learning. Each of the students within our districts needs that same chance for success.
Yeah, study after study has shown that once we get those kiddos in preschool and Tiger Paw, they do so much better in kindergarten. And the teachers we visit, I visited teachers in kindergarten here at Ozark, and they say they can tell the kids who have been through Tiger Paw, been through preschool, homeschool, preschool, whichever, but the kids who have had that structure beforehand do so much better in school. And so since I usually go to Jefferson City at least once a year, so we always talk to our legislators about the importance of early childhood education. And I love that we have a new facility, and it's very important to keep the focus on that because those make better kids in kindergarten and first grade and on up.
Yeah, as Sarah said, I'm sure there's many studies out there proving the benefits of early childhood education. I would never argue that it's not beneficial. When children are that age, we all know they're sponges. They'll soak up anything you give them, and getting them educated early is a great head start for kids. I would say that it's best done by involved parents, but I realize that life dictates sometimes that can't happen, and I think a second best option would be a school or community-based programs. I am not specifically aware of any of the details of the early childhood education here in Ozark because we've moved here when my kids were older, but I am open to ideas and suggestions that would improve and grow our programs in the future.
All right, we're going to move on now to Ozark East Elementary.
Hello, my name is Brittany Matthews. I'm the president at East Elementary, and our question for you tonight is, what do you consider the most pressing school safety issues in our district, either district-wide or at specific buildings, and what additional safety measures would you propose to support to ensure the ongoing safety of our students and staff?
Yes, so I was just thinking, I talked to some SROs today, our school resource officers today, and I think those are a big concern as far as safety issues go. So of course, things have changed since my kids were in kindergarten. They graduated now, one's a freshman, but the locked doors, the checking in at the office, those types of basic functions. I mean, we've had Captain Mark Deeds in charge of that, and so that's been a wonderful thing. Now he works for the state and helping all schools, safety issues as far as just helping our kids feel safe. So we still have to check in and have locked doors, but at the same time, helping the teachers feel safe, and our SROs are top notch, and I appreciate them greatly. So we need to focus on having those excellent SROs that we do in school now.
So I think our biggest safety issue is the way our children treat each other. Kids have been picking on one another since the beginning of time. To think we're going to put a stop to that with a policy or a rule or a task force is folly. We need to identify the factors that are causing an increase in the severity of this social conflict, because it's this increase in severity that's pushing kids to more violent reactions both against themselves and others. And we need to control the factors that we have control over. For example, we're all aware of the negative effects of constant social media exposure. Let's reduce that while we have the opportunity. I would propose a bell-to-bell, phone-free school campus. Let's get our children talking face-to-face again. Let's teach our children some face-to-face conflict resolution. Let's get our children's faces out of their phones for a few more hours each day. The benefits of that would be widespread. I know going phone-free is not a silver bullet answer to the problem, but I think it's a step in the right direction.
Ms. Rand?
The most pressing school safety issues are physical safety due to potential physical threats and bullying, As the wife and mother to 4 military police officers, I would be a huge supporter of reviewing and enhancing our district protocols to ensure the safety of our staff and students. I would be in favor of ensuring that each school has a resource officer instead of sharing one. Bullying is another huge issue in our schools. Preventative measures such as anti-bullying programs and committees such as the one that Sarah and Ozark created, they need to be continued. I support continuing to bring in anti-bullying assemblies, having clear policies and consequences, and encouraging bystander intervention. Our district needs to continue to encourage the anonymous tip line to be used. Parents and teachers should feel free to report bullying that they see as well. We need to make sure that immediate action is taken, support is given to the victim, consequences are handed out to the bully, and the situation is continually monitored and strategies are adjusted. Above all, make sure that the parents are informed and have input into the situation. I always have an open ear to listen and an open door policy for any safety concerns, and will always protect confidentiality unless I have permission to share.
Thank you. We'll now go to the question from Ozark South Elementary.
Hello, I'm Shauna Oliver from Ozark South. And what do you consider the school board member's role and responsibilities? How does that role differ from the role of the superintendent or administration? Thank you.
I think the roles of board members are two. Number one, to work with the other board members to write and or revise the policies of the district to reflect community values. And secondly, to direct the administration to ensure that those policies are being followed. Our responsibilities as board members are to gain as much community input as possible and to vote on the issues to reflect those community values. Creating community-based policy is hard work, and human nature is to take the easy way out and accept policies written by someone else, like the MSBA. When we do that, we lose control of our local schools, as I said before. How do our jobs differ from that of the administration? I think that the superintendent and the administration are hired to implement policy, not write it. The job of the administration is to follow the policies given to them and run the operations of the school on a day-to-day basis in the most efficient and productive way possible.
Again, as a military wife and mom, I believe in the proper chain of command. The school board's role and responsibility is to oversee the budget and policies within the school district in order to meet the goals of the school district, which is to educate the children which reside within it. The school board is in charge of the superintendent and the assistant superintendents. In turn, they are in charge of the administration, and then the administration is in charge of the faculty and staff. I'm not a proponent of administrative overreach, and I have never run a school that I've been in charge of in that way. However, I'm not afraid to have hard conversations if the need arises. I believe that over the years, I've built the relationships within our district from the top down that would allow me to give wise counsel in situations that arise that need the school board's attention. I'm always willing to hear any issues that need attention so that policies that need modification can be considered.
Yes, the school board's role is to hire the superintendent to oversee, do a yearly evaluation and to set goals with the superintendent based on community and stakeholder input, strategic planning meetings. Since I've been on the board, we've been through about 3 or 4 major strategic planning meetings where the community and the businesses come together, and government officials, and we come together with the parents as a community, setting those goals and values for the community. Overseeing the budget for the past 10 years, Ozark School District has received an A+ financial audit from a third-party auditor, overseeing that, making sure that happens, and just overseeing the overall direction of the school in conjunction with our community. All right, and our final question from our PTA will be from North Elementary.
Hi, I'm Kristen Griffin, I'm the president at North. I'm gonna give you a light one. What is your past or present involvement with volunteering within our buildings?
It is there. Okay. currently as a school board member, well, in the past, my first daughter graduated in, let's see, she's 25 now, so I was on PTA, going up with her, volunteered in the classroom every day and helping the teachers. Today, I volunteer more through Impact 100 Ozark, gathering teacher input on what they need for grants, visiting the classrooms. I try to visit with the school board every chance I get. It's hard with work, but we like to go in the schools and do that. I worked with Miss Suzanne Collins in the past, getting a grant, $18,000 grant, so that she could continue the Ozark history lessons with our second graders. So just ongoing with working with the teachers and hanging out with Cindy like I did just now at the meeting. So I brought that committee meeting together, and we were here at the school just before this meeting. So love being in the schools. So,
My involvement has been mainly with my kids' extracurricular activity teams. Those are two we're big into the ROTC, and we do a lot of volunteer work with them, help them set up and prepare obstacle courses and things like that. Currently, my daughter now is a wrestler and on the soccer team, and we do a lot to bring food to the teams, to the wrestling teams. They eat a lot after they weigh in. So coolers. But helping out with that sort of thing is what I do most. And concession stand work, I forgot that.
That's a fun one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Ms. Rand?
My volunteering in the school started about 18 years ago when my 23-year-old was in kindergarten. I would go in twice a week, every Tuesday and Thursday, usually at North Elementary from 9 to noon. I would do everything from pull-out math to photocopying things, putting up bulletin boards, helping around the school wherever I was needed. It continued on, class parties, middle school, book fairs. Once my kids were old enough to be involved in their school sports, whether it was basketball, football, cheer, track, cross country, soccer, JRTC, all of it. I would just volunteer, whether it was bringing in food or being on the booster club or helping in any way that I could help with that.
Okay, so we are through our PTA questions, so now we're going to move to community questions that have been submitted. And I have first names, so when I call your name, you can come up and ask your question. Is that correct? Yeah. Samantha? That's Sam.
Do you have my question? Hi, I'm Sam Samantha. My question to you is, do you feel like classrooms should be a safe and welcoming space for all students, regardless of race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, neurodiversity, the list goes on. But I want to know if you feel like our classrooms should be and are a safe and welcoming space. And we'll start with Mr. Lewis.
Of course they should. I think the focus in classrooms should be on learning the material in the class. Therefore, none of these other differences should be a matter of interest unless the subject matter is dealing with those differences, in which case, open, honest discussion of the differences should be able to be discussed. But if you're in science class, someone's race or religion is not really a topic, so why should it even be brought up or discussed? You're going to learn science, for example.
Ms. Rand?
Absolutely. No child should ever feel unsafe. Throughout my years working within the school district, I've come across many children who my children are personal friends with. Some of them are neurodiverse. Some of them have different sexual orientation. They're all welcome in my home. They're all welcome in my life. I love those kids. And I feel as if it should be the same in any classroom. They should always feel safe and cared for and able to be who they are. And that should be across the board.
Ms. Sarah?
Yes, 100% yes. The public schools are the great equalizer, and we welcome all kids. Absolutely, every child should feel safe. That's a given. It's a great question, but we want to make sure that stays that way forever.
All right, the next question that I have is from Brian. I can read it. I'm gonna read it. How do you, or I'm trying to start that again. How do extracurricular activities add to the success and well-being of students? And are you supportive of these activities? Athletics, fine arts, after-school clubs, and etc. And we'll start with Luann.
Absolutely. I'm a huge supporter of all of these. I think for a lot of students, this is what keeps them motivated, what keeps them in school. I know certain kids who there's no way they'd be getting C's if they weren't involved with some of these, because they have to have that in order to participate in whatever it is they love to do. So I'm a huge supporter of it. I do anything I can to support those programs, and they definitely are something that never needs to be cut.
Yes, study after study has shown that kids who do an extracurricular activity, athletics or club or one or more of the above, do better in school. They want to come to school. It just makes them more part of the community and teaches them to be more part of their community later on. It's a very important part of school, our fine arts, our athletics, our clubs, our civic clubs, our FFA, anything after school related. Now there's a video game club, it's called something else, but they do very well at state and can get scholarships. So there's something for everybody. And so that helps retain the kids, and we appreciate the teachers for spending their extra time after school to sponsor those activities.
Yes, I'm in support of extracurricular activities. My kids participate. Who doesn't enjoy the extracurriculars at school? Everyone does. Parents, community members, everybody. I think they add to a more well-rounded person. The bookworm that doesn't ever go outside and play, they're missing out on part of life. And kids that can do all things, I think, are more well-rounded. I think it teaches kids time management skills, which is the key. And it teaches kids to be gracious winners and losers. That's a skill that kids need to learn before they get to adulthood, because as we all know, we don't win all the time, and thankfully we don't lose all the time, and you gotta be gracious in both. I think that's part of what that teaches.
Okay, and the next question came from Julie. I can read this one too. What is something the Ozark School District does really well? What is something that should be improved? So two-part. That is there.
Yes. Ozark School District has kept up with growth very well. We've grown, people have moved here because of our schools, kept up with the facilities, this beautiful OIC facility, real world learning. I came to a meeting every other day with business leaders and our administrators, and the other schools are in awe of what our kids get to do here in the culinary kitchen, professional kitchen, and welding, and we have an ambulance and the opportunities here. We have wonderful facilities. They can always be improved upon. We've got roofs to fix, we've got things to keep on top of, and we've got a great board who stays on top of that, and it's just really important that kids do better when they're in a good facility, and the new Tiger Hall facility is so welcoming, and one of the things that we need to work on is we need to keep an eye on our teacher pay. I know that Mrs. School recently went to the voters and asked for more teacher pay, so we just need to take a look at that and see how we can keep our finances secure.
She made some great points. Something I would add to that would be we have great graduation rates, and our academic results are really good too. I think they could be a little higher, but they're really still really good. And we have good extracurricular teams here across the board, both athletics and non-athletics. The teams are good and competitive, and the kids seem to do well with that. As far as something that can be improved upon, I think the biggest thing would be transparency, both by the administration and by the board. I think there are a lot of community members that want to have a better idea of what's going on within the district, and they're not able to do that.
I would agree with all of that as far as our strengths. The OIC is amazing, the real hands-on experience, the apartment they just put in for the kids who are special needs, that's amazing. Our extracurricular activities also really great. I think one thing that Ozark has improved on over the past few years, just because I've seen a difference from when we started here 17 years ago, is the celebration of successes that we've had. And I don't know if that's due to our social media coordinator or what, but it's gotten a lot better. And we can see all the wonderful things that are happening if we look online, and those things are posted on a weekly basis. So that's really also been an extra improvement that I've seen. Something that needs to be improved on, I agree definitely with the teacher pay. It is not where it needs to be. And I also think that we need to improve just a little bit on the bullying issue, which I know has been started on, and that needs to continue.
Okay. I've got another question here for you. We know from the data that school choice hurts public education and students. Ozark Schools board members were in Jeff City advocating for our schools. Then our rep voted against the best interests of public schools. Is it time for the school board to be more vocal about bad policies that are hurting public education? That is a really channel side out.
One first?
You're first.
Okay. So the question is it time for the school board to be more vocal about bad policies that are hurting public education? Certainly. If that statement goes only with the fact that school choice is a bad policy, I would disagree. I'm not against school choice. I think, in my opinion, school choice is a factor of the free market system. If our school is doing its job really, really well and is a really good school, then we're not going to lose students. In fact, we're going to gain students. And if we think that we're going to get overwhelmed, well, then that's probably not the case, because every legislation that I've heard says that a school can set a cap on how many students they take in. And the money side of school choice, I think, is a wash, because you lose the state money with the student, but you retain the tax dollars from their location, their address. So that we're going to lose funding, I don't really disagree with. So I'm just learning the topic of school choice, and I just know the very top edge of it. But so far, from what I can tell, I don't think school choice is necessarily a bad thing. But as far as the board being vocal about bad policies, I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Ms. Graham?
I agree that any policies that would be hurtful for the school community need to be addressed. School choice, I'm still learning about some of it too. I know a lot of the concerns go beyond just losing the tax dollars. There's extra things involved with school choice. A lot of it has to do with transportation of the students. So not only is the school going to be responsible for the kids that are coming into our district, we are also responsible for busing them or transporting them there. And that needs to be carefully looked at, because we don't want to misuse taxpayers' funds by sending out 16 different buses to different locations in order to get the kids into our school district. The money that we're getting from that isn't going to balance. And we're going to have to take funds away from somewhere else to meet those requirements. So there's a lot more to it than just simply giving someone a choice.
Yes, the key is to be in contact with our legislators. Right now, the Senate version of that bill is very different from the House version of the bill. So I was in Jefferson City last week and we talked with Representative Jamie Bragg and Senator Mike Moody went over the specifics of each bill and talked about our concerns, the transportation concerns, and the capping, and, just things that they don't know because they don't work in the school every day, things that they need to know about our community, and which they do, but they've got so many bills to look at. We need to make sure that we're there talking with them about, hey, you might want to look at this part because this might be something you want to look at because it might hurt Ozark. And so just talking with our local representatives, absolutely. Great question. I have one more from the floor that I don't have a question, so you will have to come up. Anne?
I'm part of the booster program for band, and I would like to know in the last 60 days, what have you found most impactful in your life in volunteering with other students besides your children?
Sorry.
I also volunteer my time to kids in the district who need help with math, since I was a math teacher for 8 years. I think just working with some of these kids on their algebra homework or their geometry homework, I get to see the actual curriculum being taught in the schools. And I'm really impressed with some of the changes that I've seen. As a math teacher, it's impressive what they put together. This was not what the math curriculum was like a few years back. And it's just been impactful to me to have them call me or text me the next day and say, I got 105%, or I didn't think I was even gonna pass it. And so for me, it's just helping one-on-one with some of the kids in the district.
Well, as a school board member, we get to go in and see what the kids are doing each day, give them feedback on what they're doing. I think there's been meetings and we get to go visit the classrooms, and I think the students really get to enjoy seeing the board members and us interacting with the kids and saying, oh, that's the school board, and then they can learn what the school board does and so on and so forth. And working mainly with parents with issues regarding their kids, like the meeting we were just at, talking with different parents about the specific issues with their kids, bringing the parents together with administrators and helping out in that way.
Well, the only volunteering I've done in the last 60 days has been centered around my daughter's teams. So helping out her and her teammates, and then the time I spend coming to school board meetings and meeting with other parents to discuss issues about the school district has been the use of my free time as far as volunteering goes. Life gets busy. That's the best excuse I can have.
We have a little more time. Are there any questions from the floor? Okay, I don't see any. So thank you, Bree, and Cindy. Yeah, for being here tonight. You did a wonderful job. Yeah, you can do it close. That would be fine. Do that for your fun. I'll close by saying thank you for doing this for the parents and for the community. And would each of you like to say any closing remarks? We can start with Mr. Wheeler.
I just want to point out that the differences amongst the three of us are not huge. We're all conservative. We all want to see the best for the kids. I think the real differences between us is more about not severity, that's not the right word I want to use, but the level of what we would go to fix an issue. What I think is unacceptable, someone else might think is acceptable to a point. But I think we're all looking to be, the best that we can for the district. I mean, it's a good school district. We want to make it better, and I don't think any of us are bringing any ideas to the table that are from left field. It's just a matter of quality, not quantity, I guess. But thank you for listening. I appreciate you coming out.
I just appreciate the large turnout, this evening. And I really don't have a lot extra to say.
I appreciate the PTA coming together with the parents and having the business leaders here today. I see our Mayor, Don Kearns, here today. Thank you so much for being here. I know you had a meeting before this and a meeting after this. Thank you, Cindy, for always doing a good job. Just keep in mind that the board, please feel free to email the board anytime. We love to hear from the parents. I love to make those connections between the boarders and our teachers. And thank you for being in Ozark. We've got great schools, so. I agree. And you can vote starting tomorrow for any reason at the courthouse. Just go to the courthouse and vote. Thank you all for coming.